It's Peypocalypse back with another cosplay tutorial, this time with Black Cat D.Va. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. First, let's talk about the wig. It is just Arta's chibi classic and fairy blonde. I have no wig editing experience, so I just left it the way it was, but feel free to alter the bangs and the cut any way you can. Then I started working on the ears, so here I am just drawing a template onto some craft foam and cutting it out. So I cut out the base without the little ear nubs twice, so I had a double layer, and I made sure that it fit the angle of the headband. I cut out the detail pieces and used those little pieces as a template so that I could cut the first layer and make it kind of dip in. So I cut the top layer of each ear with each of the detail points with an X-Acto blade and a box cutter. I sandwiched the little whisker part of the top of the ear in between the two layers. So I hot glued everything together and then I plasti dipped it a couple of times, so that's what they look like after that. It wasn't a perfect paint job, but I was running low on time, so I just left it with some imperfections. This is the acrylic paint that I used for the inside of the ears. It's a fluorescent glow paint. I actually didn't get to test if it would actually glow in the dark, but we'll see in the future. I had to do a lot of layers of this paint. It went on quite thin and the black kept showing through, so be prepared to have a lot of time for it to dry and to reapply and dry and reapply. And try to get something glossy because mine ended up being really matte and I didn't really like the finish at all. The gun was painted in the same exact way. The plasti dip helped to fill in some of the cracks of the 3D print. And for the chain, I just used some key rings and a little bell I stole from my rats and a little piece of foam for the bow. And it turned out really well. The only other thing I did was I used a little epoxy sculpt to make the little key loop at the bottom. So that's all I really did to the gun. As I've been saying, I made my leggings on Redbubble and you can buy them. The price on the side there is my price. It would be $40. And if you want to buy them, I'll be super ecstatic, but if not, I'll live. But I think they turned out really nice. Unfortunately for me, they did not come until after my con. Also, check out this Reeker mask my friend also printed me. I am still working on that cosplay. It'll eventually be done. Okay, so let's layer up from the bottom to the top. So first I put on this little black dress that I have that's kind of frilly and mixes well and helps floof up everything. So I put that on first. I then personally put the petticoat on second. I just had this, so you can totally make your own, but I had one already and I plan to buy a different one for this because it's kind of long. So you'll see I have to roll it up just to keep it at like a good length. So I might just buy one off the internet. I've seen them for like $10. So that goes on and it makes everything really floofy and big like it's supposed to look. Okay, now we go back into things I made. This is the purple part of the skirt and as you can see, it's falling apart already. So this fabric I really liked, and now that I have the leggings, I'm not so much in love with the color. I kind of took a little bit of a creative liberty here and because I like the style of the fabric, but I may remake this as the quality just didn't keep up. So here's how I made this though, because it was super simple. I made a circle skirt pattern and I'm going to link this in the description. So basically you fold your fabric 4 times, you have this little tiny piece of fabric, and so that's going to be the hole, like where your waist would be. So it's times 4, and you cut that, and then you just take your ruler and you hold it out and kind of make an arc, and you cut along that line that you make and it's a circle skirt. It's super easy. I ended up having a lot of extra fabric, so make sure you calculate beforehand so you don't end up with a lot of waste. For the little the black part, the trim at the bottom, I tried pinning it to this fabric, but it really just didn't work. I tried measuring it, but in the end it was easiest for me just to kind of hold it against the fabric and sew and pray. And in the end, it sufficed for me. So now for the most in-depth part of this tutorial. This is like the, what would you call it, a waistcoat. And this was definitely the challenge. As you can see here, there's a clip up there. And then you lace it in the front. This back part is literally glued on because I didn't want to have 2 openings in the waistcoat. but this is what it looks like when it's on. I definitely spent the most time making this part of the cosplay. I struggled to find a pattern that worked. I tried making my own pattern, that didn't work. So I finally found this tutorial on YouTube, and I will definitely link that channel in the description, because without this I would not have been able to figure it out. So this is the pattern that she links in her YouTube video, so please go check it out and watch her video, because no matter how much I explain it, it's not going to be as good as her. I can just tell you what I was confused on and what worked for me. So what was the most confusing part is each of these panel pieces needs to be lined up a certain way, so following the little cut marks that are indicated in the pattern is super important to making sure you line up everything correctly. So the first note I want to add is this piece I'm touching right now, you do that on a fold, and you'll need 2 of them because you'll need to make 2 corsets, the lining and the front. So you cut that piece twice, and then all the other pieces you need to cut 4 times. She has a really good way of cutting it where you only really need, if you fold the fabric right, you just have to cut once, and if I had done that I would have saved a lot of headaches. I messed up a lot on this, getting everything to be the right shape. I did actually flip one piece. If you can see, the top is really wide and the bottom is really short and should have been the other way around. Whoops. But you should have 2 corsets, and then you can put the boning in if you want. So boning was crazy and I hated it. Basically, you have a channel, and you take the plastic out, you cut the length, you put it on each seam of each panel. You sew the channel in very carefully so you don't go into it, and then you jam the plastic back in, which I had a nightmarish time with because I got the cheapest boning I could possibly get, and I didn't realize until I went back to the store and got a different kind by accident how easy it could actually be, because the next set of boning I got slipped right in. In the end, I opted to leave the bones out. And I did this because I didn't want to hurt myself, because I'm not experienced with this kind of thing, so please be careful and don't hurt yourself with the corset. Unfortunately, I didn't videotape this part, but after you have your 2 corsets, lay them right sides together and sew the perimeter except for the bottom and flip it inside out, and then roll it and top stitch the bottom. And that's all I did. And I'm sorry I don't have video of it, but I just don't. And then I sewed it the backs, so it was a full circle, and then I cut the front because I wanted to open it up at the front and not in the back. After that, I put a bias tape in. I did the skirt, which I just draped some fabric against my boyfriend and cut it in a shape that I thought looked like the skirt, and it worked really well for me. And then for the back, I just kind of glued everything on because I didn't want to actually have to tie it every single time. I also did the grommets, so you can see me, that's the base piece, then you put the piece that'll be under, and you try to shove it through a little hole that you made where you want the grommet to go. Put the top piece on like that, slide it on the bottom piece, and then you get this little tool that fits the size grommet you're using, and then you get your hammer. It doesn't actually take this much beating, I just didn't really know, so I kept going at it. Really, a couple of strikes and it should be on the right way. If you go to Joann's and you try to get a grommet putter inner, it's gonna cost you like 30 bucks. I just went to Home Depot and this worked perfectly, and it came with the grommets already. The one at Joann's, I don't even think comes with the grommets, so it's like gonna put you out. So please just go to Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere and find them, because it's not harder to use at all. So next, I did the puff sleeves. I wasn't originally going to do them, so I did them really fast and I didn't videotape them. I'm very sorry, but basically, I had straps already in the dress, and I made the puff sleeve pattern, which I will link, and puffed it, and then sewed it inside out on the strap, and then flipped it, and then with the little flaps that were left, I kind of just sewed them wherever I could on the dress, and it worked as an armhole, so I'm happy with it. Right there you can see a rather large tear that I will fix. But if the puff sleeves are confusing to you, there's a lot of tutorials, there's some stuff I'll link, but if you guys want me to make a tutorial on it, I can totally do that, at least about puff sleeves on straps, because I was able to do it. For the pearl piece, I just strung together some beads, and I secured it at the end with these little lobster clasps and key rings, so it works really well. It's a lot better than Velcro or whatever else I would have used, I don't know. And I used this on the neck thing, and I used it on the gun. For the neck piece, I just took some black fabric that I had left over and started folding it and sewing it kind of like a pleat, and then I glued the bow on, and in the back I had some black ribbon that I looped and then looped some key rings in to attach it. So this pretty much brings us to the end of the video. I did not make gloves. I was going to be on camera a lot, so I didn't want to have to make them and make them Henderson. If you really want me to make them, I can totally do that, but as for now, I'm okay without them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped you in some way visualize how to make this costume. I know some of my footage is dark, and I hope to do better in the future, but as for now, I would really appreciate comments and likes, and if you would subscribe to me, I'd be so excited. I have a lot of exciting things coming in the future, more cons and more cosplays, and if you want to find out what those will be, you better click that subscribe button. So thank you so much again, and have a great day.